Hello there. Okay, tell me if this kind of looks like the white circles around Donald Trump's eyes. If they were white. Pretty close, right? Yeah, yeah. That's what I thought too. I was like, if I painted those white, painted little eyes in them, like Donald Trump's eyes, Donald, just like him, right? Oh my goodness. I have been listening to a lot of political stuff, but I have not let it just rot my brain because I have been doing art at the desk. Like, this is one of the jars I've done. There, people think, oh, what do I need jars for? But you find they come in a lot, really handy. These spoons, I love these spoons. Check these out. They look like shovels, right? And I love this rainbow thing. But got some loose rocks in there. Rocks for my head. You got some loose rocks, girlfriend. I do know that. I know. But thanks for reminding me. And oh, my little tripod. I always keep it at the desk. I forget where it is. I have not glossed this yet. I just finished painting. Blues, and greens are my twins' colors. So, and that fits perfectly. So it's right there, and it's not icky looking because and I've showed you these before. I I used clamshells, and there's one. Looks like a little mushroom, but it carries. You can put a lot of things in these. Here's another one like the other one. It holds a lot of stuff. And this one. That's all holographic glitters on it. When the sun hits them, oh, when the sun hits them, they're fabulous. But that's the ones I've been working on right now. I've got some more that I've started. I've still got more. I've got a bunch of, they're brown, they're about this big. I'm trying to think of what to do with those. I don't want to paint them per se, I'm not sure. But remember, stay hydrated. Remember, check your voter registration. Okay? Please. And yeah, there's some really cool things you can do with these are clamshells, by the way. But yeah, I get some ideas. This is a little, that Sculpey clay. This is just Sculpey clay. I got in there, but yeah. Ladybugs aren't Sculpey clay. I had those, but yeah, it's nice and it's got some weight to it because if you'll see, let me get this stuff out of it. It's thick. The walls, see, they're thick, so it's got some weight to it, and it fits quite a few things, which is kind of nice, and no, that's not just a girl thing. Some of you guys be like, girls use all those little things. No, and these are great. The jars and stuff, they are great for makeup applicators, But did a bunch of sets in the colors, like for my sister, my brother-in-law, my niece, my nephew, and I took the colors that they like and put them in there, well, on it. And my nephew likes black and purple, and I heard from him quite some months ago, and we said something. We were talking about something. He goes, I actually use that jar because I put my Q-tips in it. I was like, yep. And these are perfect for Q-tips or something. I put like earbuds and things like that in there. And I started laughing. I said, yeah, you and your dad were laughing, going, what am I going to do with the jar? That's a girl thing. And I didn't make theirs girly looking. And I laughed. I said, see, you and your dad, I bet your dad found some things to use them for too. He goes, he did. I said, yeah, I told you, just convenience is not just for girls. You can paint things or decorate something in a guy feel to it, and I don't mean old camo. I could do a little golf scene. My brother-in-law loves to watch golf, football. I can do lots of things. You could do music, notes, because my nephew likes music a lot. He took a class that mixes it's like color therapy for mental health, for like the anxieties and PTSDs. There's color therapy. Well, there's music therapy too. The lower registers, the dun 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 dun, that has a lower vibration. It's the same thing with the higher ones. You listen to shows have tracks. You just don't hear them because it's like the white noise, but you'll hear very like if it's, but you'll hear boom 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 if you know what I'm saying. So I was just I've just been rearranging stuff because I added some and I had to. Yes, I'm like that. The ADHD sometimes is very apparent in me, and it's not obsessive compulsive. It's not OCD. It's although it has to be. They have to. It's like no. It's got it. No, it's just got to be over one more. No, half an inch. There you go. It's perfect. That kind of thing. But it's not OCD because I don't have to keep doing that same one all the time. It's everything. I just everything has to look right from this angle, but I'm at this angle. Yeah, it looks good there. Yeah, that's just my brain, okay? And no, for those obnoxious people that said, "Oh, your hair dye just sunk into your brain." First of all, that's a stupid thing to say because the only hair dye that has shown any problem, it wasn't with brain, it was with skin, was black hair dye. Okay? Second of all, the dyes, the vibrants and stuff I use, they're not box dyes. They're vegan. They don't have a lot of, that other box dyes have. They're not permanent. These are semi or demi-permanent. They will be released by the hair eventually. With permanent, it won't. It's there, It changes the structure, kind of the hair. So, anybody would... some people have said, I think I removed somebody from my channel just because it doesn't matter what it was about. If it was about cats, it was about just me rambling, various subject type of things. If it's political, it doesn't matter. This one person, and in fact, when they caught me, apparently I watched a video, and it was a reaction video, and they were on it, and they gave me shit on my comment on somebody else's channel, and I was correct. 4 of the people were like, no, that's not right. She was right. And they're like, no, stomping their foot. And I finally had to school them, and they still went back to my channel and then took it out, so I just banned them from my channel. I don't normally do that. I usually will either ignore somebody if it's not a name I recognize as having done it before. If it's somebody who's made a few comments, that are just MAGA comments, even on other cat videos or something, I will school them. Most often, my comment is removed because they remove their comment. And it'll make it look like I'm just ranting at nobody, But that's the thing about when you run the channel. That's the whole thing about it that you little trolleys don't understand, I guess. If you're doing it on the channel to the person who owns the channel, runs the channel, they can just hide the channel from you, where you just never see any of the videos, and you can't find me. My name won't, my channel won't come up, so you can't go to any of the videos. So I don't know why you're wasting your time, trolls. I mean, if that's just spreading obnoxious rudeness to people and hoping maybe it might affect them and get them upset or hurt their feelings, if that's your sole purpose, because it appears to be, if you know that you can be, kicked off and banned from channels, not by YouTube, by the channel owner, what other reason would you do it? Just because you get off, you get your shits and giggles by doing that. So, that doing it with all that knowledge to start with just puts on full display publicly your ignorance, your stupidity, your deliberate ignorance. Just what an idiot you are. So, and people will say, well, what do you even bother responding to them? Because I do enjoy schooling somebody, and a lot of times their writing is horrendous. It's their spelling, or they have no punctuation, they don't capitalize, it's dismal. And I'm not asking for a complex sentence, with semicolons included properly. I'm asking for complete sentences. I'm asking for capitalization. I'm asking for a period or a question mark or an exclamation point, so we know when to take a breath, that it's not one whole freaking word that's a paragraph long with no punctuation. You're using THEIR when you're supposed to be using THERE. That kind of crap, okay? That shows either your ignorance or your deliberate ignorance, or you just don't give a fuck. So any of that tells people like me, whatever you have to say is not to be taken to heart, because you're just spewing shit to piss people off, which is exactly what Donald Trump does. So, and you're showing everybody else that reads it what a flaming moron, or stubborn, or a liar. If you know what all you say is not true and you're just doing it, then you're just a little bitch. Really. A little bitch bully. But you can try to bully people. They don't have to accept your bullying. And just because somebody doesn't reply to your trolley comment doesn't mean you got the better of them. Sometimes they've just grown weary of your trivial banter and aren't giving you the time of day. I'll do that sometimes too. It depends on my mood. I do it to telemarketers too, or scammers. I'll play with them too if I'm I have time and I'm feeling feisty and feel like amusing myself at your expense. You called me to waste my time. If I'm like on a day like today, I'm not waiting for calls. I'm not waiting for an appointment. I'm not have anything scheduled. I don't have any kind of thing online, meetings. Got nothing going. I can actually, you know, sail in today, tomorrow, Sunday, and just get house stuff done, take the garbage out. That's never ending. I'm always saying that. And, you know, just in general, do another cleanup type of thing. Um, those kind of days or those kind of moments, I I might. Now, if I've got a lot on my mind, like I was a couple weeks ago, everything's just so, I'm just, there's so much on my mind and everything's up in the air type of thing. Yeah, I'm not always in the mood for that. But sometimes, like today, I am. I am in the mood to mess with people. If you want to waste people's time, because it's not just me, I'm schooling you on trolling. And I tell them that goes for anybody. You have no idea. Just because you think I'm some old fat white lady that's nuts, that's your opinion. That doesn't mean that's reality. When I worked in the prisons as a corrections officer, I was a platinum blonde. And I'm only 5'4". I was thinner then. I didn't have some of the things that have happened since then. So they thought they could take advantage of me. Plus, when I was thinner, you know, my bust, I'm not like an A or a B, okay? I'm not even a C. So the inmates would be assholes, especially when I was working the lockdown units for a couple years. Because they got nothing to do for 23 hours of the day but stay in their cell and look out and try whatever. And they would try to fuck with me. And I'd come right up to them, all 5'4" white blonde hair of me, and I'd walk up to them, and I didn't have a, you know, power trip thing. I would just walk up to them, and and a lot of times, even if I didn't feel it in my back, you fake it till you make it sometimes. I'd walk up to them, and I'd be like, right up to the front of their cell, and I'd be like, so do you always just look at the pictures in a book and not actually read the book? And he said, what? I said, or do you only read books that have pictures in it? Because you're assuming I am what you see. He goes, yeah. I said, well, you might have to change your thoughts on that someday, won't you? And he goes, what do you mean? I was like, oh, nothing. And I walked away. I really didn't mean anything. I didn't have anything specific I was referring to. I was just letting him know. But over the years, it actually came out that I had a lot of little tricks that weren't really tricks for me personally, because that's the way I always, you know, but apparently that's not the way most people always are. You know? So that's why I said in other videos and stuff, yeah, a little twisted maybe. I'm definitely not the typical drum beat. When you have a psychologist or therapist and counselor saying, you don't think like the average typical person does. I was like, is that first few times I heard that from, you know, different people. First person I ever heard that from, I'm like, okay, all right. And then I heard it a couple years later from another counselor, and I thought, somebody else told me that too in the field. Is that good or bad now? I'm not sure what that means. And when the third one, and then the fourth one who replaced the third one, I was with her for a year and a half, but she moved out of my network. So anyway, yeah, and when the fourth one said to me, my current one, oh, you don't think like other people, like most people. And I did ask her, I finally came out and said, is that like a good thing or a bad thing? She said it's just different. And I was like, yeah, we know what that means. and and she said that I don't I don't jump to the typical conclusions that most human brains jump to. And I was like, so what? I'm slow. I don't. She goes, no, 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 no. You look at things in a different perspective, and it's everything in my life. Um, I just approach it a little differently than most people would go straight at something first try straight through. Then they'll either go below or above, and then they'll think about going around. Um, and she said, you don't always come in straight at somebody. I said, but I'm very straightforward. She says, yes, you are. But and I don't want to say this because the orange toddler just used it, called it his thing. He calls it the weave. I call it tangents, okay? But I do that little, I come straight at you, but to soften it, I don't come from the front, I come from the side. Really, I mean, straightforward verbally, I'm going to be straight up with you, but I'll soften it by coming around this way a little bit instead of right up on you and saying it, if that makes any sense to anybody. And when I explained, when I said, is that what you're saying? She goes, yeah, kind of. So I get that I'm not the average bear. Do you remember Yogi and Boo Boo, the cartoon? And he'd always say, I'm not the average bear. Hey, Boo Boo. But I'm not. In fact, on my emails, I might still have that tagline. I'm not the average bear, in quotes. It's been a quote on a lot of my poetry, cyber poetry things that I've been on groups, and that's kind of been one of my taglines, one of my mottos type of things. I'm not the average bear, and I get that. So I understand that it's easy for people to troll somebody that is always changing their hair color. That's whatever, just a little off center from everybody else. Okay, doesn't mean I don't get there too, and I get there in the same amount of time. I'm just doing it a little differently. I'm not just walking straight. I'm going do 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 do. I'm still getting there, but I'm not getting there like I'm getting there like do boop boop. Okay, not much further. People are like, shut up. I'm trying to focus. I'm like, excuse me. Yeah, I get that. So, just this little rant. If you're going to troll me, or you're thinking about trolling me, or you've trolled me before, it really, in order for you to hurt somebody's feelings, the person has to care about what your personal opinion is. If I don't care what your opinion is, you really can't hurt my feelings. And I'm not saying I don't care about my subscribers, my viewers. I absolutely do. I'm saying a troll type of thing. It's not that in fact, I don't get angry. Sometimes I'll make very long responses, and I'm schooling them. And if it was something like I said earlier about the way the writing is written, I will school teacher that. You should have had a comma here. This word is not spelled correctly. This needs that. That needs this. And that really pisses trolls off, because they were trying to point out that I'm stupid and weird and nobody likes me and I can't do anything right, basically. And I just turn it right around on them, and it's right there. And I take a screenshot and I tell them, don't bother, taking it down, because I've got a screenshot, so I'll just make a meme and post it with your name. And I've done that. You want to troll somebody publicly, then I can take your comment and my comment back to you and slap that sucker on a graphic and not block out your name. All's fair, isn't it? I'm just sharing the funny conversation I had. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm just trying to warn anybody that sees that name on YouTube. That's all it is. Yeah. I can play that game too. I can play that dumb blonde, and I did in the prisons when it was needed. Not to get something for myself or, make money or something like that. Oh, if I wanted to, if I had that mindset as a person, I could have a lot of money right now. Who knows? But I don't want to do things in that way. I'd be good at it. I'm a good liar when I want to be. If I need to be, if my life or somebody else's life depended on it, yeah, I could fucking lie right to your face and look innocent as hell. I don't do that because it's manipulative. However, if a life is at stake, sometimes you do what you gotta do. Doesn't mean that's the kind of person you are. It just means you're the kind of person that if you are pushed to that point, you can make that decision and do something. Don't necessarily like that part of me, but I respect it and I'm grateful for it, because if the shit hits the fan, and when it has in the past, that part served me. When the other parts were like, oh, I can't fucking do this, man, I can't. That part said, fuck this. I'm telling that person to go to hell. Fuck you, buddy. The other person is going, the other, emotions are sitting there going, no, don't piss him off, don't piss him off. And that one is going, be gone already. Out of my life, please. Oh my God, you're gonna leave me. I'm terrified. I won't have to walk on eggshells every day. Ooh, I can watch something I want to watch. Ooh, I'm so scared. Leave me. I can be a real bitch if I wanted to be, if I had to be. I just prefer not to have to be in that position. So, just as, even if you're not a troll, that's a little bit of words of wisdom. I've had 61 years on this planet in this lifetime. God, I hope I've learned a few things. And one is definitely don't judge a book by a cover. The cliches, people say, oh, that's just a cliche. Cliches became cliches. Sayings became sayings. Because there's some kernel of truth in it. And that's the truth. It's true. Don't judge a book by its cover or by the pictures or lack of pictures. Pictures and, everything explained to you where you don't ever have to read words is not going to suit you for your entire life in every situation. Sometimes you have to be that brass-balled bitch. Sometimes you have to be. Just don't let it become the main persona of you. You can be powerful and have a humble heart too. You can be straightforward and still have tact. So it's not one or the other. You can have both or three of those. It's just not, you're either an ass or a saint. That's not how it works. And it's not just black or white. And I mean that in more than one way. And if you're stringent, if you're stalwart, if you're unbendable, you're going to have a harder time in the hurricanes than somebody who has a little sway, a little bend, can take a little bit of pressure without completely falling down. Those tend to do better in hurricanes and things like that, bad periods of time, because they've gotten used to having to buffer and bump through things sometimes. People like the Trumps, what they call a crisis in their life is like a speed bump for most of our lives, for real. And if you're wealthy and you're not corrupt, they're probably enjoying the lesser amount of wealth than somebody who's greedy and corrupt and wealthy. Sometimes even I have a hard time remembering that. But it is true. And it is also true to not. I mean, I don't know how many people have gotten their asses whooped by some short little girl or guy who they don't think can go toe to toe with them. They think they'll wipe the floor with them. And then they pull out these, 12 years of martial art training on the person, and they walk the bully's ass. Okay? Some of y'all bullies, maybe you should think about that, because these days you don't need physical strength either. And all those little nerds that you all bully and pick on. Yeah, see, the thing about reading and learning is you learn about all kinds of things. Okay? Not just dumb nerd book things that a lot of bullies refer to knowledge as. Because you have to read how to fight, how to do techniques, all these things, pressure points, all that. You don't have to be big and a weightlifter for pressure points. We're talking a couple little pounds of pressure, just a little bit of pressure in the right space, in the right place, at the right angle. By one, bam with your fist on the right part of the arm here, on the forearm here, you hit it in the right spot, at the right angle, with the right amount of hit, and it was like 60% of my strength that I hit her with. And it was for corrections. It was the physical defense part of it. And when I hit my partner, her arm started spazzing out and freaking jumping seriously, and it was hurting. And I hit the nerve. I felt horrible. For the rest of that day and for 2 more days, she sat on the sideline during that. And with her arm in a sling. I didn't break her arm. But I hit the... Later, I was told that that was an A+. Even though I injured somebody, I did pull my punch. I pulled it. You're supposed to only do like 70%. I was only doing 60. And I mean, I know I wasn't, And they said later that I hit it in exactly the right spot with the right angle, that it did exactly what it was supposed to do, but in full bloom. And I still felt badly. I was like, can she go sit somewhere else? Because it's making me feel so bad. I honestly felt badly. Tearing up now because I remember it was like, I felt awful. And it was just like, how like when you sprain your ankle or you pull a ligament or something for a couple days, it's just really sore, achy. She said that's kind of what her arm felt like. I'm crying because I just felt so bad. The second day, I was just really having a problem. I kept looking over. I couldn't concentrate. And after we were going to the next class, she got up to me and she's like, "Stop worrying. I'm fine." I was like, I'm okay." She goes, "No, man, you're not listening. You're not paying attention." I'm like, yeah, it was hard. um, it was harder on me than it was on her, I think, because well, she didn't have to spend 2 days getting her ass beat up on the gym floor. But one of the finals, one of the tests is it's called the 2 minute drill. 2 minutes doesn't sound that long, you know, but that 2 minute drill, and I will tell you what that 2 minute drill is. That 2 minute drill felt like fucking 20 minutes. It's you on the ground, and it's to teach you how to, if there's an incident known as a riot or something going on, where if it's more than just you against an inmate, you against one person, it's you against three people, and not only fighting, standing up with three people, but the object is not to lay those people out. The object is to keep them from harming you until people can come help, other officers come help. Yeah, this is part of the academy training. And the thing is, it's not just standing. You have to be down, and then from down, getting back up with three people still coming at you. And so all the things we learned on that part, we have to, well, it's the instructor and two of the aides are coming. And, I mean, you've got your equipment on. They've got, just so you don't get injured, but I mean, one of them swipes my legs out from under me because I couldn't catch him fast enough. Couldn't turn to him. He got my leg out from under me, so I went down. But you're supposed to be down too. So I thought, okay, that's okay. But I mean, and they're not all together at one time. They move like, when you're down, you have to basically, like, it looks like breakdancing almost, on one hip and keep the one leg that's up on top up so you can kick other people away while you're leaning on this arm, but this arm is also, so you could be kicking somebody this way and pushing this way. Well, 2 minutes of this where they you have to do 2 minutes and succeed in them not holding you by the time the whistle blows. They don't have a hold of you, then you bet past it. That, even with just one-on-one for 2 solid minutes, it's exhausting. Try 3 people coming at you. Now, we didn't learn, martial arts or anything, but if they get too close, there are places on the leg, on the arm, on the neck, lots of places for pressure points. By the clavicle, look for areas if you want to learn yourself. Look up, we had medical encyclopedias when I was young. We also had encyclopedias and dictionaries because we didn't have internet. Look where the bones, they used to have the medical, where they'd have the film where you'd have the body and you'd put one thing over it and it would be the skeletal. You put another one on, it was the vascular system. Another one, it would be the nerve system. Yeah, it'd show all the joints, and see where nerves are near bone, like clavicles and stuff. You push that against the bone, and you can, if it's in a leg, but the leg won't hold the weight. Arm, I told you what happened to the arm. It's kind of hard to punch when your fucking arm isn't obeying you. So if she and I were in a fight, she would have been handicapped by that blow. And she would only be fighting with an arm or feet, So that's the whole purpose of it. Those 2 minute drills, that's what it's called, the 2 minute drill. I'm serious. we could, when we were done with that class, all of us had such a hard time getting back because you go and sit back down and the next person's called. But we were so, seriously, our muscles were so drained, all of them. Just getting up to the next class, we were all like, you could tell when you'd pass other classes when they were in the PT uh, week. You could tell. And every day, by the way, every day we ran the track, which was like a mile and a half. And it wasn't just a straight track. It was up inclines and down, not super big hills, but up some inclines. We ran on some area that had gravel, loose gravel, some had sand, some was pavement, some was just hard ground track. Up, down, too. That was the track. It was around the perimeter of the academy. And we shared the academy with the law enforcement academy. They were for cops and sheriffs and border patrol. They've got their own now. Years ago, it was built across. But they were in the middle of building it when I was in the academy, and they so we trained along ALETA. It was called Arizona Law Enforcement Training Academy, ALETA, and we were called CODA, Correctional Officer Training Academy. So now CODA is there, and ALETA has their own buildings and stuff where they set fires to a building and they have to learn to put, yeah. Also in correction, this is in Arizona, we had to be maced in the face. I mean, like, the sergeant comes up and you have to stand there and let him maces you in the face. You need to know what it feels like before you're allowed to be using it. You know what happens, so you don't keep spraying them. You know they don't need it at that point. You know, that kind of stuff. You also have to be gassed. They put the gas off, and you have to link arms, all of you together. And that teaches you to work together and not leave somebody behind. You have to walk through the cloud where they put the gas out, and it's, smoke it out. You have to walk through the cloud together. And if somebody falls on some, everybody needs to stop because you have to stop, and the next person, and if you leave somebody behind and you emerge and everybody isn't still present at the end, linked arms, guess what? 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, we got to do it again until we get through it. And our class was, at that time, it was the largest class they'd ever had. We had 53 people and only 5 were females. And that's fit. When you only had like 27, it's a lot easier, to have less people that are going to fall out or be affected more by it. And it was a thick enough area, and they made so it's not like you could, when you got up to it, hold your breath, and you'd have to breathe before you got through. Because remember, you can't just barrel through. You have to walk only as fast as the slowest person. So if somebody's already getting a whiff and starting to be like, that's pulling everybody else back too, because you're linked. So it's not just look after your own ass. It's look after your own ass, but make sure other people are not being left behind when you can help. So it's a lot more. And that's not even the academic stuff. That's just 2 days of the PT stuff. The pressure point thing, big old wall of a guy. Really. Mike Donald. Nobody wanted to be his partner, so I wound up with his partner sometimes, because he was pretty solid. But before the car accident, I wasn't all powerful, but I did weightlifting several times a week, and I did stuff. Okay, I was active. It's not like I did active sports, but I was always moving, you know. Um, Before the accident that messed up my foot and my back and, all this other shit. Um, it was, I look back, man, it was hard. And you have to do so many push ups to pass the course. And they divide it between male and female and age groups, like in your 20s, in your 30s, people in their 40s. You should be able to do more. Say you have to have a certain amount of hand grip, those hand grip things. People would be in class just doing that during the whole class, alternating, working on your grip. You had to run that mile and a half in the time for your age and gender group, and you had to do a certain amount of push-ups, certain amount of sit-ups, and trying to remember the hand grip. There was some other things, and when the first time I ran the mile and a half, it was like the third day of class. I wasn't the only one who was past the time for their age group or their gender. But I was like in my early 30s, and I was about a minute and a few seconds over the time for my age group, for my age and sex group, gender group. By the end of the course, it was a 3-month course of academy. By the time I got done, I finished my final run, the test run. I had knocked off over 2.5 minutes. I was coming in like about a minute and a half under my age group. Running is not my thing. I don't mind physical activity. It's harder now, but I mean, when I was younger, before you had accidents and injuries and such, I wasn't much into like playing sports for like anything but for fun, like being on a team, have to championship. I liked it to do fun, but I don't mind like gardening for 4 hours, 5 hours at a time. That's hard work. You're on your knees, you're pulling weeds, you're digging, it's a lot. It's a lot more than you think it is. That's how I would like to do my exercise stuff. Cutting the grass, pruning the palm trees, that was my aerobics workouts. But there was a lot that you had to learn through that corrections academy. I don't know what other states are like, but you had a lot of training on a lot of things that were helpful outside of work and even when you don't have the job anymore. They also, every year, you had to go through a week of, you just came in on your normal shift, but other people from other units you had to re-qualify on the range. You had to re-qualify on basic life support. You had to learn every year. You had to go over it. You had to know the Heimlich for infants, children, and adults. You had to know CPR for infants, children, and adults. That's because if you were working visitation, there's children and infants there sometimes. You had to keep that current every year. What was the other thing? The AEDs and a couple other things. Basic first aid for basic burns, what to do. Seizures, that type of thing. I've been present many times when an inmate would fall out in a seizure. They either had a seizure disorder, epilepsy, something like that. So it's a lot more than you think. And then you have to learn the laws for your state, the laws for this, all that kind of stuff, how to write the reports, how to do it. And there's a lot of them. If you write someone a ticket for an infraction, every ticket has to have a report. If it's a tattooing one, then it's like at least 2, 3 people involved. So that's 2 or 3 tickets, and that's 2 or 3 incident reports just for that one damn thing. Yeah, a lot of shit. You got schedules that people are going in and out for different school classes inside the prison, and different shit being called, medical or calls, for medication times. You've got um, law calls where their lawyers are coming to talk to them. You got to get them escorted. I mean, just all kinds of crap. All kinds of crap you got to know. And they also go through every year personality class and how to deal with the different types of personalities, from extroverts to people that are intuitive thinkers, people that are linear thinkers, that kind of thing. They brush you up on that because this is all stuff you learn in the academy, but every year you have to redo it. So there's a lot more than just putting on a gun and a uniform and saying, "Get down, lock down." No, there's a lot. You got the radio. You have to know how to use the radio properly. I'm not talking the music radio, because you got the phone that's ringing and somebody's calling you on the radio and you're trying to answer the phone. You're like, hold on, stand by. An inmate's trying to get a pass because it's time for him to go. You're supposed to be making a call. Yeah, it's just a teacher's missing an inmate. It's like, and you have to learn how to handle all of that. Then an incident happens on the other side, so all the extra people are going over there. Then something happens here. It's like, are you effing kidding me? So it's not a job for people with a power trip. It really isn't. But unfortunately, like the law enforcement, border patrol, sheriffs, firefighters, even medical. So those are fields that are attractive to assholes that like power tripping because they have some type of power in certain situations. But it's a very high stress. Very high stress. And there's a lot of marital issues with those groups because it's such a high stress thing, and you have lingo, and your spouse, if they're not in one of those, they don't understand it. The thing is, not everybody has a job that they go to, that they have to trust the people they work with their lives, possibly every single day. You have to know those your people you work with. You have to trust them, sometimes more than you know or trust your spouse, because your life is not in your spouse's hand every time you see them. You can see why that can cause a problem sometimes, when the spouse doesn't want to or can't get into that lingo thing. It's hard. It's hard to shift because jokes and stuff your spouse doesn't get, and they feel left out. And it's not like you're doing it deliberate. It's a very difficult jobs that are very, very high stress, and definitely affects relationships sometimes if it's not a close eye kept on what's happening. It's not for everybody, trust me, because you do get the people that are doing it because they want the power and want to be able to hold shit over people, or I don't have time for that crap. I don't. It's not that I couldn't. I absolutely could. But that's not who I want to be. That's not who I am, It would take more work for me to do that than just give a fuck about people, because that's normal, natural to me. Anyway, that's my probably an hour now, another ramble shit. But I mean, some of that hopefully will. Did you hear about the rabbit seals? The seals that have rabies in South Africa? And the fish that were all swimming in circles, the sawfish and stuff like that in Florida, they have found out that it is an algae toxin. They just didn't know what. They have found out now what it is. You're going, Judy, that's rather out of the blue and off the cuff. Yeah, well, welcome to my world. Anyway, I'm gonna go, and it is so pretty. Can you see how nice and bright the room is? It's all sunny outside. If I go outside again, I'm gonna blind everybody with the hair. It's bright out in the sun. These are UV colors too, by the way. They glow in the dark, but they are seriously bright in the bright sunlight. If I get out in the sun and I can get a picture where you can see it, I'll take a picture or I'll take a quick video and put it in the shorts to show you how bright these colors are. Because it's not dulled a little with greens or blues, which kind of, even the bright ones, you know. But yeah, this is, over this a couple weeks, then I'm going to go to that ginger for my niece's wedding. Because I don't want to have, she doesn't care. Everybody knows, even the ones that haven't met me yet, they know about her aunt. Her eclectic aunt. But, you know, still. And then after that, it'll be my Halloween hair. Yes, it'll be orange and dark purple and lime green. Remember that bright lime neon green I had a couple months ago? Gonna have that with this the bright orange, not the yellow orange, not the bright orange. Yeah. It'll be orange, lime green, purple. And I'm gonna dress up as a cat. A punk cat? A cat from Cats. Peace out, guys. Have a good day.